Good afternoon, students. Welcome to lesson 2 of our English class today. In this particular lesson, we are going to be learning to write a profile. We are going to be learning to write a profile, or essentially writing a profile. What is a profile? A profile is an information about a person or a thing or you. So we're going to write a profile, and we are going to see what information is included or should be included in a personal profile, in a profile of a person. When you're trying to identify a person, you can easily know about the person by reading the person's profile. So by now, you can start thinking about what is the content of a profile about a person. Okay, so a little warm up right now. Proverb. Okay, this proverb says, "A bad workman always blames his tools." A bad workman always blames his tools. How do you understand this proverb? Do you know any equivalents in Russian or Kyrgyz? Let's discuss this proverb. What does it mean to you? A bad workman always blames his tools. Take 3 minutes. Let's get returns from you. Let's get, what you understand by this proverb. Let's go. Okay, so proverb simply means that uh, a good person, a good workman, always tries to find a solution to a problem, always thinks in different ways of solving a problem. If you try one way, it doesn't work, you try another. You try different strategies until you are able to solve the problem, not to blame uh not to blame your inability to do stuff on other things or other people. You have to try to always solve your problems by yourself and not give excuses. This is what this is talking about. Don't give excuse, fix your problem. It might be hard, but find ways to be able to deal with your problems. Okay, so for today's activities, we're going to be doing reading, writing, and some group tasks. So let's go with our reading first. We're going to read about Cecilia's profile of her great grandmother. Look at the second sentence. She's my father's grandmother. What does the first apostrophe show? What does the second apostrophe show? So even before we start reading, we already have a task to do. Okay? Remember, we're talking about a profile. And for a profile, somebody can write their profile by themselves or another person can do it for them. In this case, we are going to read Cecilia's profile that she made of her grandmother. Cecilia wrote it, but she's telling us about her grandmother. I mean, great grandmother. And we have a question we need to do here first. As we read, let's take note of this sentence. She is my mother's grandmother. Then we'll answer these two questions as the first thing that we will do. Or let's just go there. Second sentence. First sentence, second sentence. Look at the second sentence here. She is my father's grandmother. So, what does the first apostrophe show? Remember, we treated apostrophe in the last 4 classes ago, 4 lessons ago. We discussed about apostrophes, S and S apostrophe. So, what does this apostrophe here in the she's, what does it show? It doesn't show ownership. It doesn't show who something belongs to. It's just a contraction for the past form of be, which is was. Okay, this is a short form of was. She was my father's grandmother. So this is just a contraction. It doesn't show ownership. Instead of writing she was, it was shortened into she's my father's grandmother. Okay, this is for the first apostrophe. Now, for the second apostrophe, what does it show? Let's discuss about this quickly. Tell me, what does the second apostrophe show? This one in fathers. She's my father's grandmother. Okay? Of course, this one shows ownership. This one shows ownership. It shows that it is father's grandmother. That is, the grandmother is for her father. Okay? The grandmother is for her father. So she was my father's grandmother. The second apostrophe shows ownership, shows who stuff belong to, and this first one is just a contraction. Instead of she was, you just put she's there. Okay, so now let's read Cecilia's profile of her great grandmother. The oldest person in my family is my great grandmother. Okay, now there's a mistake here. The great grandmother is still pretty much alive from here. So this is not was. This is she is, not she was. She is my father's grandmother. It shows contraction. Instead of writing she is, you just write she's. She's, because it says here in this uh, uh, profile that she is still alive. She's 96. So it is not was, it is. Being alive, present tense. Okay, the oldest person in my family is my great grandmother. She is my father's grandmother. Her name is Gulia. She is 96 and she was born in Naples, in Italy. She had seven brothers and sisters. When she was 18, she, she, she immigrated to Argentina with two of her brothers. She has lived here for 78 years and she has never been back to Italy. But she still speaks Spanish with an Italian accent. I've got some cousins and other relatives who live in Italy. I haven't met them, but I'd love to meet them one day. So this is by Cecilia Buenos Cecilia from Buenos Aires, Argentina. So this is a profile that Cecilia wrote about her great grandmother. This is what it is. Now let's see a tip here about when we're writing profiles. Okay, when you're writing about people, you can join sentences together by using who. Yes, this is good. It makes your sentence easier and more fluid. I've got some cousins and other relatives, they live in Italy. This is what someone might write. But if you introduce who into it, it's going to sound like this. I've got some cousins and other relatives who live in Italy. Now, this makes it more fluid and just nicer than the first sentence, even though both are correct. So, all right, we are going to go back to this Cecilia's profile of her great grandmother. Now, look at this profile details well. She was given like a profile of her great grandmother here. Notice how it is written. Okay, there's so many contractions there, and it is easy, even though it has details, it is easy to read and you can relate and you can understand to the information that she has given. She has given dates, she has given numbers, and she has given information about places that they've stayed. So remember this when you are writing a profile for yourself or for another person. And even with the tip that we have here, the tip says you can join sentences by using who. An example is the one that you have seen here. So now let's go to the next thing. We are going to now write a profile of the oldest person in our families. So write a profile of the oldest person in your family. Use Cecilia's profile to help you. Use it as a guide. Check what you've written. Make sure you have used the apostrophes correctly. Now, it's essentially apostrophes. Notice how all these apostrophes were used here, and that is why we discussed about the second sentence here, how these apostrophes were used. And look at how she used the apostrophes all through her work here. So you have to know when to use it, and I urge you to use this style that she used here. There are apostrophes used everywhere, some for contraction and some for ownership. So use that too in your own profile that you're writing. Now let's move. Remember, this is the task that you will do. You write a profile of the oldest person in your family. If it's your dad, if it's your grandmother, if it's your great grandmother, if it's your great grandmother, then we'll know. Write a profile of the oldest person in your family. Give as much detail, give as many details as you can according to the person's information. Okay, so here we have another thing to do. This is a group activity now. This is in our workbook and we can do it together. Get your workbook now, open it to this page where you have this, and find a partner. We're going to read about Patrick O'Connell. We're going to read about Patrick O'Connell. So, Patrick O'Connell is Canadian. He was born in Ottawa on 27th July 2002. His parents, Liam and Catherine, were also born in Ottawa. However, the family isn't originally from Canada. Patrick's ancestors on his father's side immigrated from Ireland in the 1840s. Patrick and Liam have been to visit the village where they lived and to meet distant relatives who still live there. Catherine's family immigrated from Scotland at about the same time. Now look at this immigration now from Scotland to Ottawa in Canada. This is Catherine's ancestors. They traveled from Scotland to Canada to a place called Ottawa, and also Liam's ancestors were here from Ireland, and they also immigrated to Ottawa in Canada. So this is just a map that tells you what the uh, Patrick O'Connell profile about his family is telling you right now. So his family, his mom and dad gave birth to him here. They met here, but however, their ancestors were European. Were European from the Great Britain. Okay, so this is what it is. Now, what you're going to do for Patrick now is that Patrick wants to know more about his family history. Complete this form for him. He wants to know more about his family. Okay? So complete this form for him. As easy as it is, you know you can do this. You can go back to the Patrick story and you can fill this form for Patrick. He wants to know more about his family history. So, first name, Patrick. Family name, you have to get it from the passage, fill it in here. Nationality, remember, this is for Patrick, okay? What is Patrick's nationality? You write it down there. What is his place of birth? Date of birth, father's name, mother's name, parents' nationality, important, you write it, and parents' place of birth, you write it. All right, details already known about the family history. His father's ancestors are known and his mother's ancestors were also known, you know? So, you write them down there. Details already known about family history. We know about his father's ancestors and his mother's ancestors. What I want you to do is also to write where they are from, where the father's ancestors are from, and where the mother's ancestors are from also. So, this is good. This is also the last task that we are going to do in this class. I'm just going to put this up on the screen for you so so that you can read it and be able to write details about Patrick O'Connell's profile to help him understand his family better. So all the information you need is right here, staring at you in the face. Okay, so you have access to these PowerPoints also in the drive. It is there. You just go to the drive, or if you also have access to, yeah, to the drive, go ahead. You see these slides there, this PowerPoint slide, the first class and the second class. You can go through the slides again, read through everything, and have a good review, and possibly write down questions if you have any, so that we can ask that in the next class. Okay, it's been a nice class. Send your complete work to me, I'll grade it and let you know how it has been.